I get asked from quite a few people what sort of a program I like to use for digitising. Since having generations, I just find I get the best of both worlds. I can auto-digitise or I can manual punch. It's purely my option. I also get asked from people that say, but I want to bring in a piece of artwork, and if I try and auto-digitise it, then it doesn't work properly, and then I have to spend time playing around with the design, and I'm not skilled enough to be able to manual punch. So once I decide I'm going to do a design, then I will pick a piece of artwork. I'll then bring it into my drawing program. I use Zoner 4, you can use whatever program that you are familiar with. And I look at the design and say, okay, how can I simplify it to give me the basic outline for a design? Now this image that I've got here in the window, if I try and auto-digitize it, it will not work very well because it's got a lot of black areas. Now with ZonerDraw and other programs, if it's a vector image, it's done in layers and you can remove some of those layers. So I've actually gone into objects and say ungroup, which then gives me all the different layers as separate parts of the design. So if I click on that black area that's going to cause me the most problems, I can just hit my delete key and get rid of it. And I'm left with the basic design. Other areas I will have problems with now if I try and digitize it. I've got these little gaps. I've also got gaps in between here. But by stripping the vector down into layers, it allows me to delete areas very quickly that I don't want or that will confuse. Now if I want, I could leave that area in and I could use my circular tool and just draw a circle. Now you can see with that actually has gone over the top, and I want to remove my outlines. I prefer working without the outlines. Now I could actually move that back and it will drop behind. Not much difference to what we had before, but if I change the fill around that area, now I have a much clearer definition for the background of that center part of the flower. These areas with the white area, if I change to Node Edit, then it will show me all those little bits and pieces. So what that would allow me to do, if I zoom in, I could actually select these and delete them. You can, if you're very careful, draw around and delete more than one at a time. Just be careful you don't actually move the back. Now if I want to just remove those center ones, I can drag that and move it, select it and move it to the back. Now if we zoom back out again, you can see that I've actually fixed that part of the petal. I could do the same thing on these petals here as well. Then using the same technique, I could select that part of the design. I can zoom in and I can bury these areas underneath here. An automatic digitizing program only will auto-digitize what it can physically see, so it won't put the design underneath. So again, I could select these areas and delete them. Then I can pull that leaf back underneath this part of the design, or the image I should say. Again, select it and move it to the back, and there you have your outlined leaf. So you can see what I'm doing. It's much quicker for me to edit the artwork in my drawing program if I'm not able to manual punch than it is to change the auto-digitized design. You can select these areas. You could just stretch that up a fraction. And again, we've added a little bit more definition to that leaf shape. The same as with this area, you can select the points and you could bring them up under the back of the flower. So bit by bit, with just a few clicks of the mouse, we can make that design into a design that can be brought into generations for auto-digitizing. So what I'm going to do is finish editing this, and then I'll bring it into generations and show you what will happen after I've just made those few adjustments.